Hey, welcome back to Chiro Philosophy Mixtape. I'm your host, Dr. James Hopkins, aka Doc Hops, and I am a licensed chiropractor. And welcome back to the channel. And this is going to be part 5 of the chronically ill influencer gets worse after upper neck adjustment series with Aimee Esther. And if you've been keeping up, you know, we've covered a lot on her. And my whole point and intention is to correlate her chronic illnesses with her chiropractic findings and condition and see how it relates to her overall health and how she got worse from these upper neck adjustments or adjustment. And so, yeah, welcome back. And so far, we have covered on the last episode, part 4, of what she's been through beyond her first month of care and what that looks like. And she explained how she was still feeling out of whack a little bit and, trying to figure out why she's not holding her adjustments and all that good stuff. So that led me to engage you all on the natural, on the other side of natural healing and what that looks like, which is called nerve retracing, and how that goes into the whole healing process and what we go through when we are healing our nervous system, and where you're gonna re-experience a lot of those symptoms and trauma, not just for what you may have came in for, but pretty much all the trauma and symptoms that your nervous system has been through throughout your life. You're gonna experience a lot of that through that natural healing process. And nerve retracing is all about getting us to understand and accept that that's part of the healing journey. Like, it's not a quick fix or a casting of all of that to heal. You have to experience all that to heal naturally, um, and that's what we got into. So I hope you learned something there. And then we went into her actually holding her adjustments and what that looks like, as far as, with her specifically, with her, um, you know, having a car accident that counter rotated her top two bones, which is very severe. And so also with her ligament laxity and how it's going to be harder for her to hold her adjustments, right? So that's where we go into the whole retraining aspect of those upper neck muscles and soft tissue, and how she has to keep up with all those neck exercises and stretches to strengthen that upper neck area to continue to hold and sustain those adjustments, even when she goes back out and out of alignment and needs to get adjusted again, where she doesn't go all the way back out. She incrementally is getting better as she's going through her care. So we talked about that, and then we also talked about from retraining to proper ergonomics and what that looks like, as far as specifically with her having kids, holding her babies, and addressing her sleeping patterns and all that. So we went down that progress report of findings of her care up to that 1 month sequence. And so now we're gonna go into what everything looks like now after that first month. Like, is she still experiencing some wacky symptoms? Is she still not holding her adjustments? Like, what's going on with the upper cervical care she's getting? And so we're gonna get all into all of that on part 5. And I hope you enjoyed the bonus episode, Atlas Prophylax uh, episode of um, debunking this massage device that claimed that they could permanently correct the upper neck bone, the atlas bone, into complete correction uh, permanently, right? Which is crazy. And so I hope you enjoyed that bonus episode. I hope it helped balance out this deep dive of the series. So hope you enjoyed it. Go watch it if you haven't. And shout out to all my supporters that have liked and subscribed already. And if you haven't, please do. And be sure to smash that notification bell to keep updated and posted on new stuff I come out with. So there you have it. Let's see what's going on with part 5. All right, we out.
Because it's insane, but I was not sleeping. I was insane anxiety for months. I don't know how much I told you guys, but it was really bad. Like, this was like the beginning of this year, from like January to April, probably. I didn't sleep like at all. And night terrors. I wasn't sleeping. I'd been starting this chiropractor and it was making things worse. And I didn't know if it was the sleep or if it was the adjustments or what, but I was just overall feeling way worse. And then about June, I hit a big point in my therapy. It was like everything was getting worse in therapy, and then all of a sudden it started getting better. And at the same time, I just feel like this is a blessing from above that I started both these at the same time. I don't know. Someone's watching out for me up there. Now I'm going to cry. Sorry, getting emotional here. Right at the same time, my neck started holding longer I think it did about a month in June. And I saw big changes, you guys. Like huge changes in my health, like overall health. Well, from my therapy, I was sleeping better. I was less anxious and all of that. And then from my chiropractor, I seriously had so much energy. If you guys know this, I painted my whole house. I promise I have videos coming out about it. I filmed everything. I filmed so much. I'm not totally done yet. There's just so much to do that I'm looking down, we don't have baseboards on our floors yet. And we just finished our floors last night. Anyway, it's a whole thing. But lots of videos coming out about my house and a tour. And I'm going to show you this whole makeover I did in my bedroom. I know, I've said that for like a month now, but I promise they're coming out. I promise. It's just...
All right, welcome back. So that was the first clip in part 5. So that's Aimee talking about what she's been up to since that first month of care. And so she says that from January, her first month of care, all the way to April, that she's dealt with, having insomnia and night terrors. Like, those are our main two symptoms going on. And so, yeah. And then she said she didn't find relief until June. And so that's about 6 months where she started holding her adjustments longer term. She said, the whole month of June that she held her adjustment. And she said it led to her having way more energy. So kudos to the process of healing. You believe me now about the nerve retracing phenomenon? So yeah. So her holding her neck adjustment for a whole 30 days led to her having a lot more energy, which is awesome, And then she said around the same time she started Upper Cervical Chiropractic that she had started mental health therapy. And I didn't touch on this, yet about her, and I don't think the clip where she says the specific therapy is in the content that I found, but from reviewing uh, her the bulk of her stuff, she said she started this mental health therapy called EMDR therapy with her chiropractic, and that's short for eye movement desensitiz de it's short for eye movement desensitization reprocessing. So what that means is they're using like rapid eye movement to help her um, desensitize from that trauma. And so what it is it's used for PTSD mainly, and it's where the eyes are moving in a specific way while they process that trauma and traumatic memories um, that they're struggling with. And so what happens is that the therapist has the client or patient uh, get that traumatic experience from their long term memory and bring it up to their short term memory in that moment, and then the therapist gets something like this and has the client or patient move their eyes according to their instrument moving, and they tell them to keep that trauma in their short-term memory in the moment, and just think about that trauma while they're moving their eyes in this motion with them and their device. And so um, that's what she said has helped her get better sleep. So that's great, right? Now, I don't know all the efficacy and healthy outcomes with EMDR therapy, but it seems to be helping Aimee, right? So I think that's great. And that leads me to just talk about, what Aimee is doing, right? So she's being proactive. Like she's like the perfect patient chiropractic. She's like the perfect chiropractic patient that you could ask for. That's doing everything, going to her appointments, keeping up with everything, trying to get better, asking questions. That's what you want. And she's also getting other care like mental health therapy to help with her trauma, and I think that's awesome. And on some of her other content as well, she said she's a life coach for people with autoimmune and chronic illnesses, and I think that's great. Like she's taking a whole proactive approach to her health and her life, and going from victimhood to victor or victoria of her life, and and trying to take control of it. So kudos to her for that as well. And that leads me to uh, a guy named Dr. Bruce Lipton. Dun, dun, dun. Now, Dr. Bruce Lipton is a legend, and he's definitely down with the chiropractic. He's um, and so a mnemonic that you can remember him by is Dr. Bruce, or Dr. Bruce Lee with an I, or Dr. Bruce Lipton like the tea, you know. But yeah, Dr. Bruce Lipton is the man, the myth, the legend. He is a PhD stem cell biologist who's been studying epigenetics since the 70s. He's like the Steve Jobs of biology, man. Like this guy. So he bridges the gap between science and spirit. And so what he does is he studies the changes of gene expression versus uh, the changing of the genetic code itself. So that's what epigenetics is, where he's studying what the genes are actually doing and expressing versus, just trying to figure out, the genetic code that's traditionally done in the study of genes. So he's taking it a step further, and so he says that our genes do not control our biology. So what that means is, like, we're not genetically predisposed to certain diseases and illnesses that may run in our family. Like, he's saying that you know we can change that, and through gene expression, because he's saying that the cells in our body are not controlled by the nucleus, which is supposed to be the brain of the cell. But he's saying the brain of the cell is really the membrane. And what the membrane is like the coating of the cell. So it's like the skin of the cell that protects it. And he says that the membrane has outside and inside protection. So it's just like our skin that functions to protect us from the outside and inside as well. So he's saying that our cells adapt, and our genes are adapting to our environment, and that's where our cells are. That's how our cells are living and functioning off of the environment they're put in. So if you're feeding your body toxins and poisons and bad food and plastic and all this crazy stuff, then your cells are gonna react to that and express the same way. So it's gonna express toxicity and cancer, because you're putting that into your body. Versus if you're feeding yourself cleanly and and being healthy, then that's what your cells are gonna express uh, and adapt to, because that's their environment. And so going further, so he's saying that our minds, our mind is the key to controlling our cells. So instead of you know living off default, right? He's saying that by changing our mind, that we can control the way our cells are living and adapting, right? So he's saying to change your mind, you got to change your perception. So we got to change our perception of our own reality to make those changes. And he's saying how these autoimmune and chronic illnesses happen in the first place is that chronic fear leads to chronic stress. And so with chronic stress, our body becomes sick and then falls apart, because he's saying that our chronic stress is responsible for 90% of diseases, and that a consequence of that stress is a chemical consequence. And so that being the case, is using all of our energy to respond to these stresses. And so that shuts down our growth, and then it shuts down our immune system, and which opens our body for failure. Does that make sense? So the more chronic stress and fear we're in, the more we're letting our body shut down and not be protected by our immune system to fight against all these pathogens and toxins and cancers, right? And so he said to fix that, we got to learn to let go of fear and change our consequences. And change our consciousness. And so, how do we change our consciousness? Going back to the mind. And so, going back to Aimee, she's trying to change her mindset to deal with her chronic illnesses that led her there in the first place. And so, epigenetics, that's definitely a part of her healing process that she's utilizing with everything she's doing, from the chiropractic to the mental health therapy to everything else that she's doing, being a life coach, all that stuff. So that's the point I wanted to make. Dr. Bruce Lipton, y'all, check him out. He's known for the book Biology of Belief. So yeah, legend. Check him out, and kudos to Aimee for the mindset. So all right, let's see what else Aimee's been dealing with in this episode and see where she's at. All right, peace. And I almost forgot before we go to the clip about mindset. You know, without the mind, it don't matter. So without the mind, it don't matter, y'all. So without that mindset, whatever you're trying to do, achieve, be, it doesn't matter. Like, you need a different mindset you need an above average mindset to get these things done that you want to achieve in life. And so without the mind, it don't matter. So you can have the talent and you can have the skills and you can have the experience and you can have the network and the connections, but if you don't have the mind, then none of that matters. So it's all up to you and your mindset. So that's what I want to end it on there and touch that point. All right, let's go to the next clip. Peace.